I'm already recording here, so we got Dad and Shaun in the same room. You guys haven't seen each other since probably 1987. Well, that's not true. Trucking. Do you remember the day that Uncle Shaun? You want to talk about this, or should we just skip this part?
When we first met Joe the first time?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Shaun showed up there with a beer in his hand, asking for a job. I said, "You got an extra?"
That's not what you said, is it?
No, I think I'm shitting you.
Pull that mic over just a little bit in front of your face there.
Yeah, Shaun worked down the street for the Adams brothers, Adams family.
Yes. Yeah, that's right. Charlie Adams.
Yeah.
And I was doing, he asked me when I first went to work there, he said, "Can you do tires?" And I said, "Yeah, I mean, I figured, hand brake them in the little tire machine." Well, about 2 or 3 hours after my first day, I think it was D8 possibly, backed up with a dump truck with a summer load of flats.
Oh, man.
Dumped them out there, and they were full of gravel, frozen water, and it was so terrible. He said, "Yeah, I'll give you, I don't know, $6.50 or $4.50 a tire." And I was like, that's paying me in dimes. That's going to be about $2 an hour, Oh, it was terrible. I worked there for...
So you had to heat them up?
Yeah. And a lot of them were split rims, no cage.
Rusted?
Oh, it was terrible. And I did some mechanicing in there for him, and then that led to, Dave cruising around North Pole, and he says, "Let's go over and see the Files." File Brothers. He called you the File Brothers.
Oh, is that you come with Dave?
Yeah.
I didn't remember who was with you.
And so we pulled over there and went in, and you were working on something in the shop over there, and then John was over there under that Yamaha, that snow machine in the corner, that little extension in the shop there. He was down there. He just kind of looked up, visited for a little bit, and I seen it was a body shop, and that's when I asked you. I said, "Hey, y'all looking for a worker, a body man guy?" And I don't know, we visited there for a little bit, and you had 2 trucks in there. We wrecked the old green fire truck and that blue, but it was red then, and an old blue pole truck, about the color of your shirt, that Air Force blue. And I told you, I said, "I'll do both of them for the price of one if you'll hire me."
Huh.
And then that's when you said, "No." He called me back and he said, we'll hire you, but we'll just pay you for each one, And that was the start of the body shop days. And
Was this like a lunch break or something, or what? Or you guys were just bored, or what were you doing?
It was a Saturday.
Oh.
Yeah, we were just cruising.
That's why he had a beer in his hand. He wasn't actually coming for work, looking for work. He just happened to have a beer in his hand.
I was riding.
Do you remember what kind of beer that was?
Probably Oli.
Well,
Oli Pop.
Yeah, I couldn't even remember. It wasn't. I don't know why I would even have done that. It was just kind of odd. But
So what else do you remember about that, Dad?
About when he showed up?
Yeah, what you were in the shop working too? I missed that part. I was looking through these pictures.
Yeah, we were just in the shop, and all of a sudden he walks in
yeah,
with Dave.
Yeah.
And, what are they doing? Then they introduced us. And we were just talking back and forth. He said he was from Kenai.
Yeah.
And he used to run Wrecker down there. So.
Did Dad have long hair back then, or what was? Do you remember that?
Well, it wasn't as light.
Wasn't as white?
Yeah, it wasn't as white, and he had darker hair.
Did he have a mustache at least?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, he did. And wore the glasses. John, man, I mean, that's 40 years ago. Look how young. I look at the pictures now. We were just kids.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
That's
Joe wasn't, but
Probably longer than that, wasn't it?
Early 20s.
1920s.
well, I was staying with my sister Neen, and I think I got there in '79. That summer of '79, I got up there. Yeah, and then I did a little school out there at the university.
Okay, what made you come to Fairbanks? Just relation?
You know,
You don't have to talk about it if you don't want to. But
remember that? Yeah, there was some heat, But anyway, I decided I needed a new change in life, and I was gonna quit mechanicking. That's what it was going to do. I was going to quit mechanicing altogether, and I was going to come up to university or TVCC, and I was going to get a whole new career, and I was going to be, rich and famous, and and that when you're trying to get rich and famous, you still got to work to support yourself somehow and have some funds, So that's why I was going to come to school at the college there and get a new career, but I fell right back into mechanicing and trucking again, and here it is.
So Dad, you weren't, you didn't answer them right away, huh? So they just kind of hung out and checking about a job, and you called them back later.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. Yeah.
You don't really remember that, though, huh?
we didn't know him from Adam,
No.
I just walk through the door. You usually just don't hire anybody right off the spot.
Especially when they're coming with a beer, supposedly.
Well, it wasn't quite beer 30, right, Dad?
Yeah, it was the middle of the day.
So I was curious what those pictures were.
Well, these pictures, these were these front deer cab overs. You guys.
Oh yeah.
You guys had fixed 2 of the 3 of them, didn't you? There, you were just finishing them up or something there, or finished them up when I was getting there or coming in. They were all wrecked on Atigun, right, Joe? At the switchback.
I don't know for sure. Can't remember where they were wrecked at, but we bid on them. Several shops, Lundeen's had bid on them, and we bid on them. We got the bid, and of course we're only working part time. We had other jobs.
Okay.
So we work at nights rebuilding that stuff.
You mean you were like at D8 Company or whatever? Or
No, our own shop there, where Hannah's is now.
Yeah, but
Next
what
to
was your
Napa.
other jobs?
I can't remember what we were. Oh, must have been D8 Company. I must have been working there during the daytime doing construction, dozer, backhoe, whatever they did, We put in roads, put in basements, dug basements.
That was in North Pole then for D8 or what?
Yeah, all around the North Pole
Was
area.
that one picture of him on the dozer doing that?
That
Or
was
that
later.
That was something else.
But yeah, so why did you guys build the shop then?
Well, after John got out of school, I think he took body work, and I already had it. So, and he thought that'd be a good way because, jobs were kind of slow. So John got all this stuff and decided we'd start that. And so we went ahead and built our own shop, put the cement in, put the building up, and started working out of that shop next to Holland Hannah's in North Pole by the Napa. The Napa store was not there at that time.
Right.
Holland Hannah wasn't either.
No, that was us.
Yeah, I know.
We had that building, yeah.
You said it was next to Holland Hannah.
Yeah. Holland Hannah today.
Well, it was the Hall and Hannah.
Yeah, he bought our
your shop
place
was, yeah.
and called it Holland Hannah.
And now Hall and Hannah sold it. I don't know who owns it now, but
Yeah, whoever had the trailers there is no longer there, so I don't know if Holland Hannah still has it. His name's down off the building. He still has that big crankshaft,
Oh yeah.
12-foot crankshaft
That's
sticking
pretty
straight up.
cool.
what's that crankshaft out of? Do you know?
I don't know. That's a
That's a-
16 cylinder or
There's a generator out there at Eielson.
okay.
So you were kind of talking about these yesterday.
Oh yeah. Here's these pictures of Bill Rogy's truck. Well, somehow we moved into painting trucks. I don't know how we come across that, but somebody asked. We did fiberglass work, a lot of
Yeah.
fiberglass work.
I know Earl Kenyon was one of the first trucks that I remember that we did. And of course, we'd already been doing Jack Wright's at D8 Company and Leonard Wright's.
And Green, we did Green Construction.
That's right, Green Construction too.
And then once we painted one of them haul road trucks, and then that work took off.
Yeah.
I mean, guys were like, "Wow, there was some other competitor, but I think
Lundeen's.
we might have been a little bit cheaper probably, and we did really good work. I mean,
Yeah, I know that one cab over that come in. It was tolls bad, and that one night, John and I come in there, and we completely stripped it down one night. Tennessee Miller, who owned Frontier, he and another guy come in to see how we were doing on the truck. The next day, all there was just the floor pan of the truck sitting there.
That was this truck here?
Yeah. Just the floor pan was sitting there. Everything was stripped off it.
And they asked how you were how you coming along.
they could already tell. And
Did you say
just
we were
waiting for
almost
parts,
done?
waiting for parts, about 3 weeks to get parts usually. In fact, that was around Christmas, because I remember it coming to Anchorage, and they said that they wouldn't be able to ship them to us. So that's going to shut us down for the whole weekend. So John and I took the pickup down there, loaded everything in the back of his pickup, and took it back to North Pole to finish that job.
Yeah. Yeah, this was one of the ones we did, Bill Rogue's truck, and well, we took them all apart. We pulled the sleepers back, took the stacks off. We weren't really into polishing tanks, but we kind of cleaned the wheels and painted them if they were there. That really made a nice job for the haul road, and we got that big steam cleaner, and so we went through, we power washed them with that steam cleaner middle of the winter, no matter what. We were out there steam cleaning and cleaning the trucks. And it was a lot, and people were lining up for them paint jobs.
Yeah, not anybody was doing as many trucks as we were doing at that time.
Did you guys actually enjoy doing that body work, or was it just a pain in the butt?
Well, after the pipeline, the work was pretty slow union-wise. And like the operators, with the operators, and the operators' first call was out of Seattle. Second call was out of Anchorage for the A members. And then it comes to Fairbanks. So we had to wait for everybody to get their calls in the lower 48 before we could go to work. So that's why we started the body shop.
And this would have been in 1981 or 80?
70s.
Yeah, I met you guys in that 79.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
right,
it had been.
1979. And so,
So 70,
that was winter
74,
time?
75 probably.
Oh, that's when you started that?
Probably started the body shop
okay.
because we weren't getting anywhere. John was out of the Teamsters. Actually, I was too. But you couldn't get a job. You go down there, sit in the hall all day long, you couldn't get a job. Because everything was back to like a maintenance. So they only hired so many people.
But that would have been after they built the pipeline, though, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
So in 79, that's when Uncle Shaun came up here and got a job working with you guys. And when did you first meet Aunt Dawn? Was that shortly after that then? It must have been. You must have come over to pick up Dad or something.
I think when I met Dawn, I met Dawn at Dina's wedding, or Dina and Buddy came over to your all's house, I think, something like that. And then she came over there, and I came over. It was payday, Saturday or something, and I got my payday for doing that work. That's the first time I met the file and the rest of the files and the Fergusons and them. And then I just went back to work, and I think a year or so later, I met Dawn in mid or late 82.
Yeah, you remember seeing her there at the house, though.
Yeah.
And it was almost love at first sight.
well, anyway.
It was something anyhow.
It was something. Anyway, I was just working all the time. When I worked with Joe, and I'd be over at Nene and Terry's house and just fixing to just sit down and rack out and watch some TV and eat some pork rinds or something. At one time I ate all Blackjack, the dog's pork rinds. I thought they were human pork rinds, but I ate them things, and Terry's up there one night. I said, "Where's the Blackjack pork rinds up?" Huh? But anyway, Joe would come
barking
over
all the time.
Joe would call and say, so when we had landlines, "Hey, I need you to come over here and help me." Anyway, Just think of the experience you're going to get.
That's what Dad would say.
You know how many phone calls I
We
got?
had some late nights, man.
I mean, I had so many experience nights with Joe. It was just like I nearly lost a finger somewhere. And he slid off out of Kenworth, and I slid off at Kenworth, and I caught the muffler, the tailpipe, the steel.
With your ring or what?
With my ring finger, it went underneath that thing. Oh, man, and it gouged that thing. I had to push that thing off there. And then after that, I never wore a ring when I was working, you know. But we did a lot in that shop for experience purposes, you know.
I don't think you were there. The one day the fire department come out there about 2 or 3 in the morning.
Well,
They thought the shop was on fire, and the trucks were in there were melting off. Steam rolling out that garage door, so they just come over there and force that big garage door open. I forget what it cost us to fix that garage door, but they thought someone called the shop was on fire, so they come out to put it out, and there's just steam coming off the cars.
I remember that in the body shop days, after you guys went north, well, I always worked. We worked 18, 20 hours plus a day. More than once we worked around the clock. And I heard boom, 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 boom. What? I'm airboarding body work, you know, doing Bondo. Okay, get back to work. Boom, 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 boom. Open up. I said, who is it? Police. Yeah, right, Joe. When I go back to airboard, you know, and boom, 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 boom. So I go over to the front door, and it's the 2 North Pole police. What are you doing over here? I said, I'm working. You know, it's 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, you know. And I had to show them that I had a key to that place and bring them in and show them that I was doing body work and I wouldn't, you know, and they just said, well, we never see anybody over here, you know, or whatever they said. But I thought it was him, you know, jokester he is, you know, driving up behind you with no headlights and beating on the door and acting like he's the police, you know.
You were doing that?
They say I have, yeah. I don't know if it was in my sleep or actually what I was doing.
But yeah, I'd work in that shop, and then the phone would be ringing. I'd say, well, who's calling? And I'd go up there in that front office, and it'd be somebody that, hey, are you doing estimates today? It's like, it's actually work hours. I'd worked all the way around through the whole night, painting, striping, body working, grinding. Man.
You guys want to touch on that time that John had Leah up there driving? She drove off the road there.
Yeah, let Dad start that since
Okay.
we'll get his side of the story.
Well, we were coming in, and Leah was with us, drove with us, and we come up over 47 and started down through there, and
You guys are heading south, right?
we're heading south.
What year is this?
I don't know.
83.
Winter of 83.
So yeah, she's back there, decided she's going to try to catch us. We'd passed everybody coming up the other side on the straights. Well, she come off the top of that thing and decided she'd go ahead and make a pass. Well, there's 2 or 3 guys she had to pass. So she's kind of pushing it a little bit, and we're getting 44 miles right in front of her. Which, that didn't happen to only one person, it happened to a lot. And that corner there was like 5 mile. Steep, bank bad.
Hard to the left when you're southbound.
Yeah. And she slid off that corner and down into the bottom. And actually, we ended up shoveling most of that truck out.
We did. We shoveled
And then
a couple of days.
some of the guys probably remember Big John Bevins for Frontier. Remember Big John? He'd get on the CB in Prudhoe Bay, and you could hear him clear down there by Live and Good. They must have had 50,000 watts to that CB up there in Prudhoe Bay. But Frontier Radio could get out with the CB.
Wow.
And so Big John come along, and he had one of their oil rig tow trucks. He backed down in there, hooked onto that truck, and pulled her out of there.
Wow, I remember getting it out of there, but I thought it was a little boom truck from the river, but that could have been too early for that.
Yeah, Big John from Prudhoe Bay had the boom truck from Prudhoe.
We dug that. We hand dug that. We must have moved semis load of snow so we could.
Well, it was all packed. I mean, it clear up to the passenger window.
Yeah.
He had to break it loose, to get it out of there.
We winched that thing out of there, and that caused me the next story, but after that.
Yeah, that's when we were talking to Dwight last time, Dad. You remember that?
Dwight Busby.
Yeah. Shaun said you said something on the radio, but he couldn't quite understand what you had said.
In English. I just heard a growl.
And I said, hey, we got a guy coming back here. High rate of speed. No, we were kind of in a hurry coming home for one thing, because we just got Lee out of the ditch.
And that truck was decked up on Shaun, right?
No,
I don't remember. She drove it.
Yeah, we drove it home.
Yeah.
Once we dug her out and got it heated up, we drove it home. But
okay.
It was cold, no doubt.
Yeah. I know she got on Truckers News there after that happened. People were talking about, the haul road wasn't really that hard, and she let a few people know, the extent of driving you had to do on that road to keep on the road.
Where did she come from? She wasn't never around that long, was she?
No, she was what was that guy's name? I told you the other day what that guy.
Al Jennings.
L. Jennings, yeah. Because there's 4 or 5 of us coming off the Beaver Slide that night. And
was that the night Billy laid the Western Star over?
It might have been the same night.
Yeah.
I know Al Jennings, though, he was sleeping in the middle of the Beaver Slide going downhill.
Yeah, just down.
He didn't realize he was
halfway
on
into
a hill.
Halfway into the tree line, right in the middle of the road.
He was just blowing so hard he didn't know where he was at, huh?
Yeah,
He just went to bed.
He'd come out of the Air Force and bought himself a truck.
A green Mac with Erie wheels on it.
Yeah. And so I'm the very tail ender and trying to keep up with these guys. And they said, oh, there's guys sleeping in the middle of the hill here. Everybody had to go around him. I'm slowly going down the hill, and it's blowing hard, and I'm trying to see. And I thought, where is that guy?
Was it drifting pretty good?
I don't remember drifting, but blowing pretty good.
He's blowing down in there close to the bottom.
Oh, yeah, all the way through the trees.
Yeah.
Because he run off at the bottom in the trees below the lighthouse.
Who run off?
Al Jennings.
Okay.
Yeah.
I come down through there and I said, oh, you're talking about this truck laying on its side down here? They said, there's no truck laying on its side when we come by. And I hadn't come around Al yet. And I said, I better back up. So I'm trying to back up, and the snow is just blowing like crazy. And sure enough, he come walking out of his truck. So I picked him up.
Who is this?
Al Jennings.
Shoot.
I thought he was sleeping in the road.
He was, but he took off before I got there. Everybody else got by him except me.
Oh, so when you guys went by, you woke him up.
Yeah.
They woke him up evidently. And he's trying to follow him. He ran off the road right there in the bottom. Kind of almost where the parking lot was.
Oh, shoot.
So do you think he was actually sleeping, or do you think he was just waiting to follow somebody out of that?
He never said anything on the radio. We were all talking on the radio.
Oh. Wow. So he laid it over right there on the right, just before the 3 birch trees.
Yeah, you could grease the drive line quite easily. You could grease the drive line standing up.
You want to show him
Al Jennings worked for the mud company. Well, I think we might have been at that time too.
Yeah.
Mud company.
You guys were hauling mud that day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He worked for Drilling Mud Company.
I've never seen those pictures before, but I think I know that story.
This story here was when a guy named Merle the Squirrel actually laid that 40-foot tanker over the first time. That short one of John's. Remember that short one of John's? It was a 40-footer, but
right there on 10 Mile? 11 Mile?
11 Mile going down the hill. Said he had a runaway. Jake's quit on him.
That was his very first trip. John had taken him on a trip, and John said, that's the best shifter I've ever seen. His very first trip out of the box, he dumped it there at 11 Mile.
Yeah, well, he started a trip and then shelled a push rod out and dropped the tanker on finger, bobtailed back, got another tanker after they fixed it, and then this is when he wrecked it. The way I remember it. And he just laid that over. But, that old 40-foot tanker never lost any fuel.
Yeah, it did.
I don't
There wasn't a bit of fuel. I come out of Prudhoe.
This one here?
To pick that load up, and the tank was completely empty.
So, but it wasn't.
Okay.
It wasn't empty when it was rolled over. Apparently, right?
It was loaded. Yeah,
It
when
was
rolled
loaded,
over.
but then you came back later and it was empty.
Well, I'd come down to Prudhoe to pick the load up.
Oh,
It lay outside. The fuel disappeared 15 feet from the front of that truck. There was none in the creek, none in the trailer. Never could
That's
figure out where that
Twilight
fuel went.
Zone story for.
How could 9,500 gallons of fuel disappear?
join us next week.
Anyway, we I think that was Keith Harvey's dozer, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Pro-
Oh, no. TD-15,
It looked old John Deere,
Okay.
a John Deere.
didn't it?
Well, Larry O'Kelly was there somehow. I seen him in the picture. And I don't know who was in the red jacket.
Oh. I wasn't there on that.
That looks like Keith Harvey's dozer.
Could have been. Because the one I had at Mackey, that one there was Jack Wright's.
So that tanker.
I don't remember being there when they pulled that out.
Yeah, I was down
Or-
at.
I might have been there because right off the bat, I remember he said he had no jakes. I started the truck even though it was all crunched, and the jake worked.
Yeah, we never had it. Well, we never seemed to have that same issue again after we got it back on its feet. But we got it loaded, got the truck on there, and got the tanker back home. And I put the truck on your lowboy and hauled it back.
That's so weird. I don't remember the cat being there.
Yeah.
I know the trooper come out there,
Oh, really? I just
and
vaguely remember.
he come out to check it because the tanker was empty. He said, I don't know where the fuel went, but it stopped 15 feet from the truck. And we figured that was fuel come out of the fuel tanks. To this day, we don't know where 9,500 gallons went.
Or if somebody stole it.
I have no idea. Because I come out of Prudhoe and picked that load up.
Yeah, that was Custer's truck. It was a pretty good truck. It had this severe duty cab on it, the special hood, and the windshield, and the roof cap was stronger for reasons just for that.
Kind of curious about those. I haven't seen these pictures.
Here's a bunch of these Nodwells right here. There's 3-4 Nodwells and a Thicol and a little transport carrier. I think this is up on top of Galbraith somewhere, between Galbraith and Tulick. We were drilling out there for the samples for the proposed gas line for, what was it now, 48 years ago. It was supposed to be put in, right?
Yeah, and they said it was coming next year. Or
Yeah.
something.
In the early 80s when we were up there drilling.
Yeah. Boy, that was a lot of fun. It was cold, and then these couple of these new Polaris snow machines, we just got them. We had just got them snow machines. And we were at Pump 5 when we first got these new Polarises, and Dick Aubrey put one in the back of that Ford pickup he was driving, and then they were going back up towards Finger, and he bounced it out around the Canute and just garbaged it. It bounced out. It wasn't hardly even tied down, I guess, but it just destroyed it. So we were down one machine already, never even got to ride the thing. Here's another picture of the Boogie Motel. And
Looks like when you first got it, huh?
yeah, John had just painted this thing.
Is that like Pump 5 or something?
This is Pump 5 inside the pump station, and we're mobbing down or mobbing up to go somewhere. And I was the night oiler on that crew. And so I got to be around you guys an awful lot, you and John and the Nodwells and the crew, so we were always together. So I was around these trucks a lot from the beginning. You had your blue cab over. Here you are right here with this blue cab over, 76 with a 350 small cam. That was a pretty good truck, actually, for what it was.
Yeah, it had just been painted. And the reason it had just been painted is because Jack Bender was driving that truck in Minnesota for Joe Conlon. And he hit a deer and rolled her over.
Oh, no, wow.
So they had rebuilt that truck, and then I bought it from Joe.
And that was your first truck?
No, well, my own first truck. The first truck I drove was that one for Richard Teeter.
Yeah.
It was a
Well, this is the first
64.
one that you bought for yourself.
Oh, that one right there.
Yeah, okay.
Cab over. I had a chance to buy that Mack from the guy I worked for when he went out of business. But I was too young. I didn't want to take the chance of buying a new truck.
Was that the same cab over you taught Shaun how to drive in?
Probably, yeah. Yeah, with training wheels.
With two sets of training wheels.
Do you remember that trip at all, Dad? Taking Shaun up there and showing him how to drive?
I don't, no.
Well, one of the first trips I went with you, we spun on 39 Mile. Remember how slick it was? And you had to stay in the front seat and hold the foot pedal because the front brakes were basically the only thing holding us.
It had one set of
Maxi
cans.
Yeah.
That's the way most of the trucks come out, one set.
And you'd already taught me how to chain up, and we spun out right behind another cab over. A bunch of us mud haulers were leaving, staying together during them days. And, and he spun out, and that guy slid right off into the ditch at top of 39 on the Elliott.
We're right behind him.
And you're right
in the
behind
corner.
And
about the corner.
Joe,
the top corner?
Yeah.
Just about the corner, yeah.
And you spun out, and you said, "Get out and get them chains on." And, man, I was out that door, and I'd had the iron on there. It was like, that was, really get your adrenaline going, And I got him on them iron. He backed on there, and we got back up the top of the hill. But that was the day, well, I was taking notes. And I wrote it in my notebook on everything you did, come off this hill in second, pull this hill in whatever gear, chain up here. And so I took that notebook, and then when I took my very first alone trip, I naturally went out there to 39 Mile at the bottom of the bridge and going to throw iron, and, at that night alone. And it was probably 20 below zero. The road was like glue. And I'm down there chaining up, and I hear this truck come just roaring. It flies by me, man, goes over that bridge and all the way up and over the top of 39 Mile. And I'm just watching in awe, and later on I knew that was John Shank, and I thought, wow, man, how did he make that, But anyway, I use that notebook, which I wish I had that notebook now, Nathan, to go back and show all the little things that I did.
Yeah, I remember one of my first times chaining is when I was with Richard in that 64 Kenworth. And we come out of Delta, and it would hit Shaw Creek Hill. And it was like 45, 50 below. So we're out there chaining up, Guy pulls up behind us and said, "What's going on?" "We're just chaining this thing up so we can get up the hill." At 45, 50 below, our fingers are about half numb, and didn't realize snow wasn't slick at that temperature.
Yeah.
Did the guy tell you that?
Yeah, he said, "You go right up there."
Do you know who that guy was?
I have no idea.
Could have just been like an angel, huh?
Could have been, yeah. He had wings, I know, when he showed up.
This picture here is the original old truck. It was a F-29, which was a Boogie Motel, but that's when John picked it up in Anchorage, a little short 3-axle. It was beautiful.
He did buy that in Anchorage?
We went down to Anchorage and picked
Okay,
that
I
up.
thought he got it in Fairbanks.
And we picked up the lowboy.
Oh, that's right. Because I'd already had the first lowboy. We'd been working for Jack Wright, and they're having trouble keeping their trucks together.
Yeah.
Because guys on them, all they want to do is sit in their trucks. Well, we were working on our trucks, working on them. They said 80% of the drill downtime because of the trucks. So they said they'd put one of our trucks on. So I went out and got that Kenworth and bought a lowboy. And then the second one was that John bought that. And next thing you know, we had no breakdowns because we were working on our own trucks. Out there move a rig, it might be all day before you move the next one. We had plenty of time to do stuff to them.
Yeah.
These other guys, all they want to do is sit and read the paper.
This is another Nodwell that caught fire. They were good about catching fire. If you had to warm them up somehow and get that belly heat in them, they would catch them belly pans on fire because they were full of sticks and about 30 gallons of leaky Detroit oil underneath there.
So what's that?
Burnt
Did they put that one on skis?
Oh, this one was burnt to a crisp.
Oh, they put one on skis that we brought off down by Quartz Lake. And that there, the guy had taken off with the emergency brake on.
Oh, man.
And the brake caught fire and caught everything, all the oil underneath that Nodwell caught on fire.
So you guys were just hauling these, and they had guys that were doing the actual drilling, running these Nodwells.
Yeah, we were moving 7 or 8 Nodwells.
And you had a
On
permit
that north, yeah.
for doing that the 365 days.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. We ended up, I had one of the big ones, and I was taking it down into Toke. And it was, I don't know, about 12 foot wide,
Yeah, we had some
16
big
foot
ones.
high.
Yeah.
Just barely get underneath the bridge, 15.6 maybe, getting down there. And they'd given us a 365-year day permit, so we could move those things any time of the day or night. Before that, you couldn't move on holidays or weekends. So they gave us a permit to run 365 days a year. And so I get stopped by the troopers down there in Toke on Memorial Day. The guy says, "What are you doing out here?" I said, "Well, I'm just delivering this rig out there at the other side of the river, 8 miles the other side of the river. So you got to keep drilling." Well, we were working for Northwest Gas, and that was a 3-year contract. And they wanted to make sure they got these holes drilled so they could get the gas line started. And we're still waiting.
Yeah.
And that, what year was that?
Oh, 76 or
It was
79?
80. It was probably we started 79 winter, 80, all of 80. We moved all them rigs and stuff around, and then 80, mid to late 81 when John bought that White Pete. And
Yeah, we'd run from, we were drilling from Prudhoe Bay to the Canadian border and Valdez.
Yeah.
It drilled holes,
Hundreds.
shoot, every 5 miles or something.
Yeah, hundreds of
A
them.
lot.
And these are just test holes so they could bring that gas pipeline through.
Yeah. See what the soil samples look like.
So, okay.
You know, they have, even though the pipeline was right there, they still had to have their own holes drilled to verify.
Yeah.
That
The
seems
ground.
kind of weird. They'd already put the pipeline in, but they still got to verify that.
Some of the holes that were there, we were on the 4th hole in that area. Because they would not, or nobody would sell them the records from the other holes, so they had to get their own records
So
for the
now,
line.
now with Trump's gas line going in, we're going to be another set of holes, and I'm going to go up there and be a night oiler again.
Yeah. Well, they're supposed to run that pipe right down the oil line.
Are you going to be
Pad.
working with a guy named Grinder?
Grinder, yeah. I never knew his real name. I always knew it was Grinder, and then Badwater Bill, and Harrigan was up there. And
Harrigan's down there, and
I wonder if
Florida.
Would Ben remember his name?
he might.
Do you still talk to Gary Wilson?
No, I don't have his phone number. I mean, nowadays, you know, we had the landlines before. Nowadays, if you miss their cell phone, you could never get it.
Yeah.
You could never call information, get anybody's number.
No, right. Where we were, this picture here was Joe's cab over, and the little Peterbilt that John had as F-29s, and we were coming we were all staying at Pump 4. We were Pump 4, I believe, this trip, and you're all southbound. We were going down, I don't know, we were headed south at Atigun, and it was warming up spring, so we were putting some iron on here. So
That looks like Atigun Camp there, back when the road used to go down through the camp, when the runway was still open.
Yeah, when you were there, it still went through camp. It wasn't on the airport, right? Where the airport.
Oh yeah, I see
runs.
what you're saying.
You were down
right
to
here.
next to the buildings.
Yeah, because the road goes up through here now on the runway.
Yeah, that high road where everybody parks, that was an airport. That wasn't even
Oh,
the
that
road.
was a runway there?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was a runway. And on the parking lot when you go north on the west side, that's where the fuel tanks were, helicopter fuel. And
That's where the fuel
Plane
bladders
fuel.
were, right?
Huh?
Fuel bladders were right there?
there were actually tanks there.
Oh, they were tanks there?
Tanks there.
The
yeah.
bladders were in Coleswood then, right?
Well, no, that's tanks. The bladders where we were bladders were out there at Newixick.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that was
Well,
later,
actually,
I saw
no, I'm sorry, not Newixick, at Kaktovik. Kaktovik had the big 50,000-gallon bladders.
There was a picture the university had of Coldfoot. They had fuel bladders out there, and I don't know, that must have been during the pipeline when they had those out there.
Yeah.
But you weren't trucking to Kaktovik. They were flying all
No,
that?
but actually, I was there working on operating engineers. I was sent up there to upgrade the runway with a dozer. And when we got there, the dozers were all 8As. 8As is a cable-bladed dozer, no hydraulics.
So when was that?
Right about that, just before. I'm trying to think. No, that was after the mud days, or I mean the drilling.
Okay.
So 85.
85. Okay.
That's funny. You got pictures of these salamanders here, which...
Yeah, you were talking about that last time.
Yeah, these diesel salamanders, these oil heaters, like grove heaters, whatever they call them. That's how we lit the locations up at night when I was oiling out there at night. We had no light, no generators hardly for light plants, And so we would take gas and diesel. You remember that,
Oh, yeah.
And while they were burning, we'd lift that lid up, and the flames in the bottom of that pot, and a 6 or 8 foot flame there, and take that red metal jerry can and just put it right in there, and just fill that salamander, half up with gas, and pull it out, put that, and then put the diesel in there, mix it half and half.
Well, if it's 60 below, it's straight gas. Remember that?
Yeah.
First time Gary Wilson, he was doing that, the mechanic. Whoa, I stood way back. I thought, man, we're going to have an explosion here. He takes the lid off that gas can, just ends up maybe into the salamander.
Yeah.
While it's burning.
While it's burning.
It will not torch off because it's too cold.
Yeah.
So what is that, Dad?
Oh, that there's a 40s drag line. That thing is probably 150,
Yeah, Dave's uncles. Dave Fogarty's uncles there.
Yeah, that'd be an uncle, yeah.
You remember how you bent that stack?
No, I don't.
You hit it at Wilner's Texaco, and their rack was lower than your stack on that Western.
Oh, really?
You were so mad. Yeah, you went in there to Wilner's and hit the rack.
Huh.
They weren't made for 12, 13-foot racks, for stacks back then. Them Stars had pretty good stacks on them. I don't remember how you've got that straightened, but having a bent stack's a bad deal. It's just...
I think just about everybody's bent one at one time or another.
Well, F-29, the marker lights were higher than the stacks because I had to come in a 10-foot door in that back, so I didn't have any stacks to worry about.
You did have shorter stacks on there. And we were just talking about it yesterday off camera. You said you only had one air can on that. Right?
After all them years now, I really wonder, we put so much horsepower into that motor, Joe. It just still had one air cleaner. And I bet that motor struggled to get enough air through that one air filter,
I don't know.
Because, man, I was down there in the parks, and that thing ran some heat to that pyro, and you know what? That thing left me on the parks 3 times.
I went down once there to get you down there with the push tube or an inject.
Well, you and I were together when it broke a push tube coming out about Eagle River, and
I wasn't together. I had to run from Fairbanks down to get you with a lowboy.
That was when he hit the moose. I remember that phone call that night. You hit a moose down there, and Dad had to go down there and get you.
Oh, okay.
With the lowboy.
There was a couple of them there. So on the way down, I hit a moose coming out of the flats around Kinnick, bumper to bumper, fair traffic.
And 2-lane road back then.
Yes, and I hit the moose, but the truck wasn't damaged. Too bad. Bent the stack, cratered the fender on the tanker. moose and a couple calves. Went down about a half mile. Trooper had somebody pulled over. I said, I just hit a moose back there. She's in the road. So I don't remember if he whipped me back around or we went back there and he got my information. So I went into Anchorage and loaded at Texaco. And then I was outside of the gate, chaining up and leaving the gate locked. And I looked up and it was blowing smoke rings. And the legend here said, if you're blowing smoke rings, you got a bad injector with them Cummins. And it blew perfect smoke rings about every so many feet. So what can I do? I got 15,000 gallons of unleaded on, so I do my best. I got to head out of there. So couple of 3-4 hills out there towards one of the lakes before Kinnick, and I go down to the bottom. It's late, and I start up that hill, and all of a sudden it sounded like somebody put a 2x4 in my fan. It just made boom, and the cab filled up with smoke. I couldn't even see, and I thought I saw a little bit of a flash. I don't know. It could have. I rolled my window down, smoke rolling everywhere, and I'm still doing 50, 60 miles an hour going up this hill, and motors died. So I put my head out, try to keep the smoke out of the cab and on my eyes, and I coast up to the top of that hill, just get right up to the crest of this hill, and I know I'm dead. So move over, and I just get barely off, just on the white line.
There's a turn right there. There's a turn right there. You got right where it turned. You were able to pull right in there, right?
The turn was down at the bottom of the hill, but I stayed right on the crest. Actually, the outside duals of the tanker and the truck were just in the grass. They were off the pavement. There was air underneath them. And so, wow. Blew the oil cap off. I think I started the motor, and it just, it sunk.
That's it ignited in the oil pan.
Yeah, it did.
A lot of times they ignite in the oil pan and blow the pan off.
It blew the oil cap off and put a big old fiberglass crack in the hood where it blew the oil cap out of the valve cover.
Oh, man.
That was amazing that blew that oil cap off with the oil vent tube hanging right there.
Yeah, it took a piston out under full power. And injector, once we got that piston out of there, it had molten corners where it had drilled through there and went down the side. So that injector was spraying in the wrong spot or in the wall or someplace.
Yeah, it ignited in the oil pan and blew that out.
That's why I think I saw some flash under the engine. I thought there was a fire, But
I can remember one truck there from Kodiak at the 475. And he started cutting the hole through the cylinder wall. That way, he got to the bottom of the beaver slide, and he blew the oil pan right off that truck.
Hey.
And immediately it seizes up, of course.
When you first got those tankers, you and John, did you guys just have the lights on the bottom of those, or was that is that how those?
Yeah, all the tankers in the old days, the lights were in the bumper. And they would cover up with snow so bad.
Yeah.
You go 10 miles in a snowstorm, you couldn't see the back of the trailer. Yeah.
Do you remember when you ordered that tanker and you talked to Prudhoe about all the special things you wanted?
Oh, yeah.
And one of them was you wanted a set of bumper lights up on that top of them.
Put on top of the tank. And the guy from Prudhoe said, "You want what?" I said, "I'd like to have lights on the top of the tanker, brake lights, blinkers, 4-ways, and regular clearance lights." He says, "Really? I've never heard of that before."
Yeah.
So, we had the first truck, the trailer going north, that was set up with lights on the top of the tank.
And I feel like there wasn't another tanker in the United States that had them yet. I think
they didn't. They didn't even know what I was talking about when I first said it.
So, really, them lights were the file lights.
So with those, did you have them make them like a wing at first, or how was that?
No, I just however you can get them up there. I want them on top of that tank. So they had them kind of like in a wing.
They were
for brace feed, which is a really good idea back then.
Really good job of manufacturing them. So they actually took the actual what would be down on the bottom, and they brought them up, and then they took these gussets, like in my shop, and they gusseted that in there. And I don't think to this day they've had that tanker lasted many, many years up there.
I asked,
and never had any issues with them.
A couple months ago, I asked Dave Fogarty, because when we got out of the business, the price, the insurance, the haul fuel, went from $5,000 to $45,000 a truck, I believe.
What, for the insurance or what?
For the insurance.
Okay.
And a lot of that was we had to go from a $1 million load policy at the refinery to a $5 million policy. And some of the guys could not get that insurance. And we run it for a while, and there was actually Bishop Trucking. They run it for a while, and his got so high because there's so many accidents in the early days up there, tankers. The insurance companies were just pretty high, cost a lot. And as I remember, the Bishop Trucking, for his trucks out of Glen Allen, I think he told me, he said his insurance went to $750,000 a year.
Wow.
And he said, I just couldn't stand there any longer. And you probably may remember Sager.
Yeah, Corky.
Sager Trucking out of Delta. And the insurance put him out of business, too.
Going back to Corky, did Leonard work for Corky?
No, I don't think he worked for Corky. He worked for Jim. That truck was just wherever he could get a load, I think. I don't think he actually worked for Corky. I don't remember that.
When I took a load to the Prudhoe Bay Airport, and they were hauling fuel to Barrow. So that's the trip I took my little brother Mark with me, and it was so bad. That road was so bad. We made it to Atigun River, and I pulled over as far as I could make it that day. I mean, I was just beat. The road just, it just tore you up.
Summertime or something like that?
We just took a break and sat by the river and took a nap, there. But we got to the airport there at Prudhoe, and we were waiting for the plane. We were a little bit early, so we waited, 3, 4, 5 hours. I can't remember. And while we were waiting there, maybe longer, I believe there was it was a tanker pulled up kind of off the side of us there, and I think it was a day cab. And I want to say it was Leonard, but it just looked like an older man, and, but Leonard wasn't working for us then, I don't believe.
Well, Leonard, the blue truck Peterbilt Leonard was driving, John bought from that, I think his name was Jim Winters, that was in Delta. And when he sold the truck to John, he wanted to make sure Leonard still had work.
Yeah.
So John hired Leonard.
So anyway, the pilot came over. He said, "Well, this guy don't have a sleeper, so we're going to take his load." So we had to wait for 2 more flights, 4,000 at a time. And I was like, "Well, shoot, I've been here 4 hours earlier. I mean, I've been waiting. I was first in line. Sleeper, no sleeper. It's a tough world, I get that. But so we waited for his 2 loads, and the whole time that when they came back, they couldn't get one of them engines running on the right side of that plane. It was hard to get started. So
the old Herc.
Huh?
A Hercules Herc.
Yeah, it was a DC-4, I think. It was that Everett's. I think it was that plane from Everett. So we hauled multiple times.
Yeah, those little 8,000 gallon tanks, 4,000 each.
And so, anyway, he said, "You all want to go to Barrow?" So me and my brother Mark got on that plane, and that thing was nothing but a fuel slosh inside there. Man, it's been hauling fuel all the villages and what have you. So we got in there and flew to Barrow.
So it kind of smelled like diesel?
Yeah, it did. And so we didn't have no earplugs, no toilet paper, no nothing. You want to talk about miserable. No place to sit down, that wasn't covered in diesel. So we went to Barrow, and they left that one motor running on that side. And so we got down and looked around, and he said, "If you get out of sight, we're leaving you." So we didn't, and then we went back and unloaded the other 4,000 in there and took off. But brought fuel to that plane a couple of times, but the last time I brought fuel to that plane, I think it just about crashed. I got that load to Pump 5 at the airport at Pump 5, and I top loaded at Petrol Star, and it was so cold. And I think the fuel was 30, 40 below zero net. And so I top loaded, and I loaded that front compartment. It was a 4,200 compartment, and I don't know how much I got in there net, but
5,000 probably.
Anyway, so
And actually 4,200.
I loaded that thing, top loaded, and then met the plane there. They were going to fly to Bettles, but when I got to Pump 5, there was like a temperature inversion there after a certain point, and that weather warmed up. It got warm, and there was wind coming off that east side there of that mountain, and it was just completely changed. So I got them the hose, and they brought it up there, and in my mind, I'm thinking they're going to be watching their tanks up there, and so I'm pumping out of the front hole, and shoot, all of a sudden, yelling, going on, and fuel's running out on the ground on the back door there, Whoa, 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 whoa.
There at Pump 5?
Yeah, down at the airport. And holy moly, so I still had fuel in that compartment, because net gallons, it filled their two 2000s up, their little brown 2000s. So they get down the south end of that runway, and I asked them if I could go to Bettles with them. And they said, nah, we ain't taking nobody. And so when they went by the middle of that runway, they looked like they were going about 30 miles an hour. I was like, whew. I knew that by that time I remembered, I putting things together. I gave them net gallons in them little 2,000-gallon tanks. And they got down, they just got down, and they're down in the end of the trees, and they're off the runway, and they just kind of go down a little bit, and I could tell they had the power to it. And they got up, and they got gone. I was like, oh, man, that's close. Well, kind of worried about it, but when they got back, I literally got a butt chewing. They said, how much fuel did you give us? I said, well, I don't know. It's your tanks, and I'm pumping it to, But come to find out that they got more than they expected. Plus, the co-pilot said we were over limits on the crosswind that we should have took off on. So we had a crosswind, which it takes away your lift, and they just barely got off the ground.
They're probably sweating it.
One more passenger, they might not have made it. Wow.
It's amazing how much that fuel can shrink with the temperature. The fuel still weighs the same, but it shrinks so you can get
way
more in those tanks. And from, I've seen guys fill their trucks up at 50 below and then put them in the shop at 50 degrees, and it'll start coming out the tank. So I can't imagine you give them an extra 500 pounds or worth of fuel that they
1,000.
Well, I think when we went to Newixick that time, we had that first contract that was taken by truck into Newixick. John bid that 500,000 gallons of diesel and 100,000 gallons of gas. And on those 10.5 tankers, we're putting on 11.2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're going across that ice, and they said, going up to Colville, if you see any green ice, look out, the ice is thin. Well, I took the first load in there.
You're driving on the ice.
Yeah, we go up the ocean 20 miles, 25 miles, and up the river 25 miles.
You'd get on it at Lick Talk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right there next to the early warning site. And so you go in there. I slept the night in Newixick.
Weren't you a little nervous about driving on the ice?
Well, not really. They told me it was safe, and actually,
they told us that every time.
Helmrichs, the University of Alaska profiled the water for us, the river, and the ocean, to see how much weight we could haul. They profiled that for the thickness.
Okay.
So when I got there and unloaded the next morning, I come back out there, the sun's shining, all of a sudden I'm on the river out there, not the middle. I mean, it's green all over. And my heart is pumping, boy. And then I thought to me, well, you come in last night with a full tanker. So I got and looked, the ice was about 5-6 foot thick.
Yeah.
So it was plenty thick. And the thing about it, you're allowed more weight on ocean ice than fresh water.
So you were going from Licktock, you'd go up the sea ice up to the Colville River.
Yeah.
And then take the Colville up to Nooksack, which was all fresh water.
We'd go right by the Helmrichs homestead there.
Yeah.
You remember that? I think you stopped at Helmrichs.
Oh, yeah, we stopped there.
And Helmrichs, of course, own Colville Field now.
Yeah.
Yeah, owned by the Helmrichs.
And then when we were there, and Tina and the boys, I don't know who they were, but they were there, and she'd whip up some coffee and maybe some, I don't know, roll or something, and shoot the breeze and bring a newspaper in there. And she showed us one time she showed us that trophy room he had.
Museum.
Yeah, he had a museum in there. It was just stunning,
And that was what, 84, 85?
Yeah, that was right around 3, 4, 5, something in there like that.
They'd hauled fuel in there before by the cat trains, and I think they were going 7,000 gallons per skid. That's what they hauled fuel in. We were taking in 11.2 per truck.
Yeah.
Were you loading that in Prudhoe, or were we bring that all the way out of town?
Oh, we brought the fuel out of town, and sometimes you top off to get to 11.3. We'd fill the tanks at Prudhoe, and then we'd come out of Fairbanks with another load, and then top that baby off, and then make 2 or 3 runs.
Okay, so that's when John had the bulk plant in Prudhoe.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'd top off there. And I think I made a trip alone or two out there before. Sometimes there was nobody with you, and like to go with somebody else, And I went out there with Leonard a time or two, and other guys.
There's probably no checkpoints out there back then like there is now. You just go.
It was just,
no, not from there. No.
From Licktock, there was nothing.
And then on these trailers, are these 4-axle tankers?
3 axles, and then I had the 4-axle.
So they had a lift axle on that?
The 4-axle had 2 lifts.
Okay. And then you had 2 lift axles on the truck.
Yeah, that's it right there.
Didn't all those trucks have that? You had 2 lift axles on the semi?
Yes.
At the end, most of them did. We had one in front of the drivers and one behind the drivers.
So how much would you load on the drivers then with that?
What was it, 40,000?
50.
Or was it 50 back then?
Yeah, we put 50,000 on the drivers. And they held up. I didn't really have a lot of suspension issues, I don't think. And I mean, the air track was pretty durable. Occasionally, when it got really cold, we break one of them air leaf springs. It felt like a 44 Magnum went off in your sleeper when they broke one of them. They made so much noise.
You don't break springs anymore nowadays that I know of.
Yeah, not them big old air tracks. When them break, man, that's 4
I've changed several of them on the haul road.
Yeah, 4-inch wide. That's probably 1.1/8 thick. I broke one just I broke one up around Wiseman one time. I kind of pulled off into a wide spot, and when I got down in just a little bit of a tilt, kaboom!
I broke one about 20 years ago on a tanker, but that trailer is pretty old. But that's the last.
Oh, the trailer itself?
Yeah, that's the last time I've seen a broken spring.
Was that a spring ride, Aaron?
Yeah, there was a lot of them back then. Have you ever seen this, Dad? I'd never seen this before. Mom dug this out for us. It's the Daily News Miner from, what is it?
It says September 4th, 1976.
I've never seen that picture.
That's crazy. That's right where they're putting the pipeline into the top of the Yukon River Bridge.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's hangars on both sides.
That's funny. Yeah, Aaron was pulling these pictures out earlier. I'd never seen these pictures before in my life.
Yeah,
Mom must have had these hidden somewhere.
Yeah, I've seen the hangars.
Did you see this, Shaun? I'll have to put that on that video so people can see what we're talking about.
They have a gas line hanging off the bridge too.
Huh, look at that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
look at how good that paper is. It's in good shape. She must have had that stored away in the dark or something.
Yeah.
Dad, what were you saying about Dave? After you guys were done with those tankers, you guys took those to Fogarty's, or what were you saying about that?
We listed for sale. The lowboys, some of the lowboys we took down to Pendleton.
Oh, yeah.
Cabbage Hill. I can't remember that guy's name.
Woody Clark.
Yeah, he had Western Star dealer or International.
He had international dealership there. And
I think Western Star now.
His name was Woody Clark Woodpecker Truck and Equipment.
That's right.
And we brought 4 Pete's down there and 2 lowboys when John and I brought them down there.
I don't know where the flatbeds went. Stretch trailers.
I forgot about them Great Danes.
Who we sold them to, or where they went, or
that's when the economy just went down in the dumps, right?
Yeah,
and then the trucking
way bad. Yeah.
I think that what hurt us was when Arco put that refinery up there. It knocked the tankers out of business.
They went. They closed the refinery.
Well, remember when Arco first started the refinery, but they couldn't make. There was no requirement for low sulfur, so they start pumping all the fuel out up there to the generators and the camps and stuff. So nobody needed to haul fuel, and then when they shut that refinery because low sulfur took so much more, that's when I think
you remember the gas hauling gas up there or making gas.
Yeah.
It didn't have enough octane.
Okay.
And they used to haul loads of reformate or
condensate.
No, reformate. What was that?
Oh, you were
formaldehyde.
No.
Oh, yeah.
It's the stuff where they added to the gas so they could run them vehicles in Prudhoe Bay.
Yeah, you and Dwight were talking about that last time.
Yeah, reformate. So Dwight remembered it, and he remembered when they were going out there and the Slickum, the CDR and DRA.
Yes.
Tankers. Frontier hauls a lot of them.
Yeah.
And they had to put that in the line in injection points so the oil would flow. And it'd string, like he said, Dwight was saying, that stuff would string out for, I don't know, you grab a little bit in your finger and you go 100 yards. Come back here.
So you guys took those trucks down, the lowboys, and then you sold the tankers in town.
Yeah.
Did those tankers all have the wings in for the lights, or
just the one?
Just the one.
Just the one.
Wow.
That was the first one that hit the state of Alaska.
And
since then, they're nationwide.
Alaska Petroleum bought that tank.
Oh, so okay, that's why you're talking about Dave Fogarty.
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause Bob Tolman used to pull that all the time.
Okay.
Until just a few years ago, I think.
Yeah, that tank had
sitting over
four compartments.
Yeah.
2 1000s. The reason it was built that way is because we hauled a lot of engine oil.
Yeah.
And we put on 1,000 gallons of oil in those center compartments, take them to construction sites.
Yeah.
And we'd fill their oil tanks. That they were leasing the tanks from Wilner's, Texaco.
Whose truck is this?
That looked like Jack Bassett's to me. I don't.
It is.
That's some deep mud right there.
Oh yeah.
Where's that? Is that just below Finger or Baker's? Where is that?
Yeah, below Baker's.
Just north of Baker's first.
Yeah, just north of Baker's. You get down to that bottom, we'd hit that thing 70 mile an hour. And most times you're lucky if you got through in third gear. Well, he's stuck there.
He had one of them CDR tanks. That was. It rained.
Who's the guy behind him?
So he only hit that at 60, huh? Got stuck.
I don't know who that blonde-haired guy is, but
No, it wasn't behind him.
Did you hear what Aaron said?
What?
He probably only hit it at 60 and got stuck.
Could have been.
Well, that story there, you know how he got all that cleared out of there. You know who saved the day again?
What do you mean, all the mud or what?
Well, yeah, that would be old Big Joe File.
Yeah, I had my weed burner.
No, he walked way back up the hill there. I don't know how far it was, and nobody could get through. And Joe walked back up the hill there, however far it was, and found the grader up there, and miraculously got it running, and came down.
I had a equipment key, I kept for years. I could get in any piece of equipment.
So you just did a volunteer form for the state and ran that thing for a bit?
Yeah. And for some reason they were kind of upset because I made it so guys didn't have to chain up anymore.
Joe took about a foot of mud and just pushed it off the side of that road
right off the side of the ditch,
down bedrock almost.
Made sure they could not get it back on the road.
So pulled him out of the ditch, and then we got through there, and then put the grader back to the side, and away we went.
That's some bad stuff.
Oh man!
In fact, Keith Harvey got the contract to upgrade that road there.
Oh gosh!
Oh, did he?
Yeah, Keith Harvey come in there and rebuilt the road and brought it back up to grade. I don't know if that's why the state was leaving the muck like that, or
so was it always
under
really
contract?
Muddy?
Maybe
was it always really muddy right there until
they had
in the summertime? Or
terrible lot of rain from there to the shelf.
Yeah, well, I remember trying to make the knob. You as soon as you come around the corner, you were almost in your pulling gear. You know, down at the bottom of the knob, it was so muddy. I mean, it was deep all the way.
And you'd be chained up.
Yeah, you'd be chained up.
2 sets.
Digging and gnawing and bouncing and
Arctic Circle. Remember that? You couldn't drive in the northbound lane because they wouldn't let you drive in that because it sloughed off so much. So they could keep us in the road if we drove the southbound lane up. But you're in the rocks there, you know, as big as your head, you know, trying to go up through that stuff. And I come up there one day, hit the bottom, fairly good clip, 30, 40, something like that for the mud. And I had one of these seat cushions that had the wooden balls.
okay.
Is right to keep you from sweating too bad because hardly anybody had an air conditioner back in them days. You just rolled the window down. He up there second, third gear pulling the grades, you know, and it's hotter than all get out, getting heat off that engine. And I went to shift gears, and the throttle didn't work. And one of them beads got stuck underneath the throttle.
Oh, no.
So I'm out there in the mud, chaining that baby up. And people probably wondered where my seat cushion was still there. It wasn't because I crapped my pants. It was because the beads had fell out of that seat cushion. And I got rid of that thing. I said, that ain't going to happen again. I'm not going to spit out in the middle of that muck.
So I can do one of them, that competitor show, the old road trucker show, you know, that the guy says, if he can't get that bead out from under that throttle, the oil fields will shut down. Can Joe get that brown bead out from underneath that throttle? We'll know here in a few moments.
I'll tell you that I like them seat cushions, but not after that.
Yeah, do you ever remember hauling any large modules?
Yeah, we did.
What's that picture about right there?
Oh, where'd you ever get that thing?
Mom
I was trying
gave
to
it
block
us.
the road. That's what I was doing. I didn't want anybody to come through there.
That was March of 1988, is that right?
Pretty close. You remember that? What do you got?
You see that picture?
Oh, gosh.
Anyhow,
High
Alaska
Center.
West got that was the first year they built modules in the state, and they wanted to know if a guy could get a module to come up over the haul road. So actually, I think Alaska West actually got 8 of them, but for the company drivers, only 7. The 8th one was farmed out to Prudhoe out of Canada. So they come up there, and this module they had, I think, was 15 feet wide. And the trailer was like 12, 14 feet, really wide trailer. And so they got, I think their model, they were grossing around 300. And I had the biggest module for Alaska West. I was like 230. Most of the guys were 150 to 230 in that range. And that picture right there, that shows me blocking the road there in Wasilla. I went to bring that module all across the road, and it high centered. So I know Jerry Cantola, he's one of the push trucks, Jerry Cantola, with a company, was it C500 that come off the Cassiar mine for Alaska West. They brought those off there to help being push trucks. They had automatics. So Jerry, in fact, helped me get off the road. We had to back up, and then they had to plank the road there so I could get back on the road. And I couldn't come north. I had to go south and find a turnaround point and come back because the road angled back on itself so much. It come out of that little red schoolhouse, that driveway to the little red schoolhouse there at Wasilla.
Okay.
You come back on yourself there by like a 60 degree. And so you couldn't make that corner, so you had to come out on the road, which is banked the other way, and that's why I centered out there in the middle. So I think they might have put 2 of them push trucks on me to get me off. And then we took that Prudhoe Bay. Actually, Ron Lawrence, after that they sent Ron Lawrence to go with me, and they had him pinned to the front of my truck. And so Ron Lawrence with the company flatbed hooked on to me, and all the steep poles we'd have them hooked to me, even coming off the hills.
And that Western Star only had a set of 40s.
Yeah, 40s.
Two-speed Eatons, which,
yeah.
A lot of guys said they were as tough as a 46 Rockwell because of the reduction,
Oh, yeah. That there, we had, 200, between 220 and 230,000. That's what I was on that trailer.
Trailer. You hauled, you had a lot of weight on that truck a lot of times. When you had that, when we took them bridge beams out, you had 90,000 on the drivers.
Yeah, I went the way there, the scale there at the, what was the name of that place there that did all the home moving? Right there.
Sigwald.
No, it's Sigwald. No, down the street from them. Next place down, towards the intersection. They had a scale right there in front of their place.
It's one of the moving companies, wasn't it?
So I pulled up there and I weighed the truck on there. And I was like 110,000. And the guy said, "Okay, here's your weight." I said, "No, I got to weigh the trailer yet."
Okay.
So yeah, I was 90,000 on the drivers.
Well, we took
on 40,000 pound runs.
We took them beams, you, me, and John. We took them beams all the way to Prudhoe. And the only place I know I think John spun out on the north side of the Cold Foothill, right? The little bitty knoll right there.
Oh,
coming out of
Rosie Creek.
Yeah, I think we just a short little rise, and then I think Cold Foothill was on the other side of that, I believe, right?
Yeah, Rosie Creek.
And he had that White Pete. We already chained up there. We had the big three-wheelers, some Swedish three-wheelers on there, and every time we go across them wooden bridges, it looked like a sawmill, man. It was just wood everywhere. And that we didn't have quite the run for it, but he spun out, backed her down, moved over to her about 2 feet, and away he went up the hill, with no lockers or nothing then.
Oh, you got that one too?
Yeah, was that your construction?
Did you ever see that? Did Mom have this? Who had this?
I guess so.
Yeah, look at you there.
The front page of the Alaska Construction magazine.
Yeah, just
my truck
Alaska
right there.
Construction and Oil.
What bridge was that?
1983.
I want to say Atigun River 2. It's either 1 or 2. I'm pretty sure that looks like Atigun River 2 to me.
Because they all used to be one-lane bridges before that, wasn't it?
They were just a little narrower. They weren't like the stuff on the Dalton. The Dalton, or the Elliott. Well, even the Dalton was narrow because remember, here's one thing I have to bring up. You probably remember. Remember when the heavy loads come across the bridge, what they had to do? The real heavy loads, we had a trailer with 3x12s on it or something like that.
Had to plank them?
Yeah, we planked every bridge. Every bridge had to be planked. Every bridge had to be photographed to show that you planked the bridge to get across. And nowadays they run these oversized mammoth loads, and some of them bridge hasn't changed.
Probably not. You talked about the bridges when I was working for when I was a night oiler up there. We were staying at Pump 5. There was a head-on collision at Marion Creek, just north. Where was it? Yeah, it must have been just north of. Could have been north of Coldfoot. Is there Marion Creek up there? Remember there was
5 miles. 5 miles north.
Yeah, one lane bridge, and there was 2 trucks that hit on that bridge. And I came up on that in a pickup truck, and they'd already been working the wreck, and the tanks were tore open, and the trucks were.
And it was still gravel.
Well, it was winter. Yeah, I knew that. Yeah, it was.
Oh.
It was really narrow, and I thought, man, look at the damage here.
Well, like way earlier, I talked about the road being rough. It was taking us 3 days going up and back in summer. And I noticed when we got to just north of Coldfoot, we get that straight stretch before Marion. It's a mile long or whatever. And we think, just 30 more minutes to go 5 miles. Yeah, 30 more minutes. And that thing just bounce you and beat you to death.
Yeah.
Just completely tear a new truck apart.
Yeah.
What's that picture there?
Well,
I'm amazed.
That's the same truck, right?
yeah, it's the same truck. This is like an international dump truck, and it had a little. I don't even know where the trailer was. The pup is gone off.
That's
Was that Bloom?
The Bloom deal?
Yeah, I think that was Bloom, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was.
There's a name on the door, but
Okay, we're still going. Yeah, I met that guy coming off Slope Mountain.
Well, that's on Galbraith, isn't it?
no, it's before Slope Mountain. Yeah, this is before Slope Mountain.
Yeah, I forget how far up they were going.
Yeah,
That is coming off Slope Mountain, isn't it?
yeah. Here's the red Peterbilt, and I think
That's over there by the 120 dip.
Just north of there. Is it off the road? It's off the road there, right?
yeah,
Yeah, just north of there. Remember those big boulders? I'm telling you, the big boulders down there that are just north of Slope Mountain.
That's where that picture was taken of that truck. That's John's F30. That's John's F31, the Dreamer.
Yeah, and I come back, and I told the guys, I called Bloom. I got back to I don't know if it's Coldfoot or Fairbanks. I think it was actually the first place I could get a phone call in was Coldfoot. And I called Bloom up and said, hey, that boy of yours up there, you better told that boy to slow that thing down.
I think we've all met him during that week
And
or
he
so.
says, it's too late. After I went by, he dumped that load of rock. That's why all the big old boulders are out there on the side of the road. That was his load.
Real quick, Dad, we're going to have Sean's sister, Neen, come in here real quick. She's got a story about Terry, right?
Yeah.
Back when he was state hand.
Yeah.
But you can hang out, Dad, if you want.
Okay. Oh, you're going to that side?
You got me over here.
Yeah, you want to wear the headphones? You want to be cool like us?
Shaun, can I be like Shaun?
You don't have to if you don't want to, but. So this is Neen. Can you touch a little bit about how when you guys came up to Alaska?
Back in 1968 is when we first came to Alaska. And we had a old red Plymouth station wagon, and we were pulling a U-Haul. And I remember when we crossed the border, we had that U-Haul filled with everything my mom could put in it. No furniture, just, stuff. And I remember the last thing we put in was Mom's ironing board. We had to crank that baby shut. It was packed. And we got to the Canadian border, and they wanted to search us.
Yep.
And my mom was so upset because then you have to take everything out.
Oh,
and
yeah.
You gotta repack it.
And they don't help you
It's
repack
like-
either.
No, they don't. But we had in that trailer, the one thing my dad wanted to bring up was the old black Scorpion snow machine that we had. We'd pack everything around that. And we had some good times on that. I would bring the kids behind on the toboggan and swing them around when we lived in Kenai. It was pretty fun.
Do you remember how?
What kind of snow machine?
Scorpion, 14
No,
horse.
Yeah,
What,
14 horse?
14.
man, that was some horsepower.
yeah.
What was that trip like for you that you remember going through Canada? Was it a pretty long trip for you guys?
It was a long trip, and it rained quite a bit, and to to save money, we were going to camp. And we had this great big, huge 3-room tent that was pretty big.
Huge.
Yeah, because there was 6 of us, 4 kids, and mom, dad, and we'd set that. My dad would set that thing up, and then it would rain, and we'd have to take it down in the rain. And then
with a big pole in the center or something.
Yeah, and a couple of nights of in the rain, setting that baby up and pulling it back down. And then we were staying in a hotel, and my little brother Shaun used to have this pillow that he took everywhere with him. I mean, he couldn't go any place. It was the pillow he actually put under his head. So it wasn't like a little, fluffy pillow that little kids had.
So your mom and dad would let you guys take one thing with you? Is that what this is all about, or no?
Oh, no. This was just one. Well,
it was like a blanket.
Shaun had a pillow. Yeah, Shaun had a pillow, and my littlest brother had a little tiny pillow that he carried.
And a blanket. Mark had a blankie?
Well, Mark's blanket came later.
Okay.
But Shaun had a regular bed pillow, but it was, I don't know. But Shaun used to, well, I don't know if he still does, but Shaun used to pound his head up and down, and I think that was just a way for him to
get to sleep.
Self-soothe, I guess is what they call it now. Get to sleep, and he would just pound his head. But that was the pillow he wanted. Well,
now I got a dog.
Yeah. In haste one morning as we were leaving the hotel, my mom forgot to take the pillow off the bed. And when Shaun found out his pillow was left behind, he cried for days. I mean, it was traumatic.
Do you remember that still, Shaun?
Some of it's coming back now. I tried to block it out for 50 years, but 60.
Yeah, nope, it was pretty funny. But yeah, we had a lot of good times, and then there was the time that because Shaun was about let's see, how old would that have made you? You were born in
59.
59. So you'd have been like 8, probably 8 and a half.
And you're a little older than Shaun.
Oh, yeah, a little bit.
Quite.
Yeah. Just 4 years. But he had to go to the bathroom one time, and so we had to stop. He had to get out, and he had to go in the bushes.
It's raining again.
And
this is the summer or fall of '68.
Yeah.
Like September, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, late September.
And so Shaun runs out in the bushes, and he's in there for a little while, and he's just in a T-shirt and his whitey-tighties, and of course there wasn't very many people on the Elkan, but this particular day there was a few, and so my mom's got this video of Shaun running into the woods, and then he does his business and he starts to run out, and he gets to the tree line, and there's some clearing, and there's a vehicle coming, and he runs back in the woods because he doesn't want anyone to see him in his whitey-tighties, And then the car goes by, and then Shaun starts to run out, and then another vehicle's coming, and he runs back into the woods. I mean, it's just like, he's 8, he's in his underwear. It's like, he doesn't want anyone to see him, but
degrading.
Everybody else has already seen an 8-year-old probably in their whitey-tighties. Yeah, he was quite the shy boy. So, but yeah, no, Shaun never grew up. And still hasn't grown up.
No.
When he was growing up, and we lived in Kenai, here he is. He's 16 years old, and he's laying on the concrete driveway with my little brother, and they're playing cars and trucks. Driving their little. Driving their little cars around, and
still got into trucks.
Like, yep, and he's still playing with them. Still, 65. He's still
6 now.
Oh, that's right. You are 6. So yeah.
So Neen, you spent some time driving up the Hall Road, the Dalton Highway, didn't you?
I did. My husband worked at for the state of Alaska after he got out of the Air Force, and he worked at Atigun Pass was his first assignment there, and that was in 1981.
Okay, so Shaun was already driving up there, so you're like, oh, that's kind of cool. You got family that's already going up and down the road.
Yeah, and he worked for the state of Alaska. So the state of Alaska didn't have a schedule like the Oilers had, where they would go up for 2 weeks and off for 2 weeks. They were up there. They would come into town like for a weekend, and then they would get all their groceries and everything that they needed for however long, and then they would go back up, and then they would be there. So in order to see him, we used to have to, load the car up and drive up. And when we first started driving up, there used to be a checkpoint over after we crossed the Yukon River. And because the road at that point wasn't open to the public, it was just mainly there for the truckers to go back and forth. And so you had to have a permit, basically, a reason why you were going up there. So we used to have to stop there, and of course, then we would go through. So I used to go up with Sherry Blake, her husband Bob, but Sherry's dad was Dwayne Kirkvold, and he was an old trucker. He drove up there for a lot of years. He had a mining claim up in that area too.
Yeah, and their son worked right there.
Bob Blake.
That way people can hear you.
So he was his son-in-law. Bob Blake worked at the
Atigun camp.
With Terry. So.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay.
So was Terry running the blade mostly, or doing everything?
They did everything.
Yeah.
Everything. So yeah, because there was a time, it was a few years after he worked up there, and he came into town because he had to get his eyes checked because he kept putting the blade on the when he'd go over the bridges, he'd rip out the
Guardrail.
the guardrail. Yeah, because he was starting, not to be able to see things because he was getting older. So
Peripheral vision.
So, yeah. But in 1983, we had a son in February of '83, and of course, if Terry wanted to see, Derek for, at all, we would have to drive up there. So Sherry had 2 kids by that time. We used to load those kids up and load everything up, and up the Hull Road we would go.
What kind of vehicle were you guys driving?
Mostly we drove. Sherry had an old Blazer that we would drive up there, So, but it was like, put the car seats in the back and everything else, all the groceries and stuff that the guys wanted, we would, put in the back, and a lot of beer.
You staying at?
And then we would stay right at the camp with, with the guys.
It was Atigun camp.
It was Atigun camp. Yeah. So Derek was probably, I don't know, he wasn't very old. He was, probably less than a month, 9 days to a month old.
And you were taking him up the Hall Road that young,
Taking him up the Hall Road, yeah. He got his first bath, actually, in the shop sink in the Hall Road. So.
Oh, man.
Oh, at Chandler camp?
Yeah.
Or?
No,
Atigun.
At Atigun.
Atigun.
Yeah.
Okay.
We called it was Atigun camp,
Right.
but at between
Right.
Chandler there.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay.
State camp.
Yeah.
So one day, they used to go up there at Tulik. There was the UAF had a research station, and they would stay up there. So this was in the spring, and stuff had started to melt. And Terry said, I have to run up to Tulik and drop this stuff off for the university. And he said, do you want to go along? And I'm like, sure, go along. And I said, how long will it take? He goes, just about an hour. And I said, okay. So I just grabbed the baby, put him in a blanket, and we got in the truck and up to Tulik. We went up Atigun Pass. He dropped the stuff off at Tulik. We he chatted a little bit, and then we drove back, and we got over, and we started coming down the backside of the Atigun Pass, and there'd been an avalanche, a big avalanche, and the road was completely blocked.
Oh no!
And he couldn't reach anybody from the truck, so he got up and he climbed up on top of that snow so he could get a signal over to the camp. And told them they had to, there's an avalanche. They had to, come and bring him out. So they brought this great big old loader and a bunch of equipment. It was a big D8, and they were, we were behind that avalanche for like 4 hours or more, to the point where, of course, I didn't grab a diaper because we were only going to be gone so of course I needed a diaper, and so Terry had to take his t-shirt off and I had to makeshift a diaper. But it was melting quite a bit. It was warm. The sun was out. It was warm. And so when they finally cleared the last bit of that avalanche through, the water just poured down, and it just took that D8 and it just washed it down the road about 50 feet before it finally came to
that
us.
much water.
There was that much water.
It must come out right there at the waterfall.
I don't remember there being a waterfall.
Have that much water come out.
I just remember there's a lot of water, and I was,
Wow,
it was, yeah.
You didn't take no pictures.
Didn't have camera. I just had the baby.
Oh, I know it. So many things.
I know. I just, just grabbed him and threw him in the truck. But yeah. But then that was just enough to get us through. And so then those guys worked all night and into the next day. And of course, all the truckers couldn't get up the road, so they had to stop at the state station. And so I spent a lot of time all night making meals for the guys that were stranded there.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it's like, yeah, it was, you do what you got to do,
They were always friendly there. I
Yeah.
remember stopping in there when Terry was there, and I would go in there, and I don't know, it's just, it was the first, it wasn't my first experience with the electric fry toilets, but, that was a new thing for me when I went to Pump 5. And we stayed at the third-party camp. They had electric fries,
Yeah, you electrify yourself.
The electric fry toilets, And I think Joe or Terry showed me how to do it. He said, if you don't put a bag in this thing, you're going to be banned from using this thing,
So you had to put a bag in there before you used it.
Yeah, you had to put a V-bag in there and then do your business and flush. And we was out there in the parking lots a lot of times, and Joe was like, looks like somebody's in the crapper. Black smoke rolling out of the top of the stovepipe, But Terry,
hot load there.
Yeah.
Terry he knew a lot of people in there. He knew everybody on the road. He knew who was a jerk. He knew who was a guy, and he knew who was, good and bad up there. They'd run him off or cuss the blade operator. One thing you didn't want to do is cuss the blade operator, because you get, you need a bind, you need something. They're not going to help you as good,
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember one time Terry was telling me he'd gone up there and he was dry bladed because the road was so badly rough. And he said, I did 35 miles that day, and guys were complaining about my work.
Terry, he got stuck in, he got swallowed up in an avalanche one time on Atigun. I remember I was on the south side down there, and it was always working, and there was another slide, and I remember him saying that he got pretty shook around in there from the slide hitting him. I think he was in the blower or a loader, but he got pretty excited about that. I remember, they got him out of that thing, got him dug out. But I just remember hearing him tell me about that.
Yeah, that had to be pretty scary.
Yeah, to get caught in another slide while you were digging a slide, just another slide came in with it. But yeah, I learned a lot from Terry, about the pass, just when I was young, I would stop in there and maybe say hi for a little bit and get some pointers and you know. Then he went to Slope Mountain. I don't know if I ever stopped in the Slope Mountain camp. I might have, but he done a lot of work on that road.
Yeah, well, he retired from the state from the haul road, so he spent his whole career up there. But then later on, they instituted a week on, week off rotation. So that was good.
So he mostly spent his time at Atigun Camp or Chandler Camp that people know now.
And Slope Mountain.
Actually, no. Yeah, he moved up to Sag River.
Okay, Sag.
So, yeah. And he was supervisor up there, and was glad when he could give it away to somebody else because it was. Because nobody likes to be the supervisor, because
Oh yeah, a lot of responsibility there.
Plus, you have to. You not only have to discipline if they need it, you have to actually live with them and eat your meals and sleep. So it's not like you can get in trouble at work and then you go home at night and you don't have to look at them.
Yeah.
Just you're there.
Get a look right across the table at them.
Exactly.
Hey, could you pass me that ketchup, man?
Yeah.
I just reamed you for being a sorry mechanic or something, but
I'll give you some horseradish instead.
Horseradish, what's that all about?
Joe,
I love horseradish.
I didn't.
Is there a story about that?
Yeah, there is, and I can tell my part of it. But we were all up. We got to Prudhoe, day and a half, 2 days trip, just get there and get unloaded and what have you. And we went over to Vico, and there was a bunch of us.
Vico or Natacamp.
Was it Vico or Nana? One of them.
Natacamp, I think.
And
we hit both places.
We could eat there, Maybe you didn't have to sign. Maybe we hauled fuel there and they gave it to us, But they went in there, man, and 3 or 4 of us Philco drivers are in there, and the steaks and mashed potatoes and gravy and just that stuff that you just love when you get there, because so I said, hey, got all that food. I said, hey, I'm gonna go wash my hands and clean up real quick. So I set my plate down there and I went back, came back, and I sat down. I dove into that plate, man, got a big old thing of mashed potatoes and gravy, and it's kind of weirdness, man, that went down, and it was just like, it hit my bottom, and it was just like, oh, man, all around here was just like, oh, what is that? Yeah. Well, Joe had taken a humongous amount of horseradish, which I'd never eaten, ever, put it under my mashed potatoes and my gravy, and that solid shock of that horseradish, man, just pretty much wiped out the rest of my meal. My stomach was starving empty with nothing, and they poisoned me with horseradish,
Probably extra hot.
And then he goes, what's wrong over there? Too hot for you? Something like that.
And was he just over there laughing?
Yeah, oh yeah. He was over there looking, like everything he does is just a big joke,
Well, you remember when they're at Nana Camp and the guys thought they should have a steak eating contest. You remember that?
No, I don't.
So anyhow, everybody, they start in, right? They're all 1 pound steaks at least. And my second one was enough. And I can't remember how many Shaun did, but I know John, he was always smaller than anybody. He said he never got enough to eat when he was younger. That's why he's so small. So I think John made the record, 5 of them.
Gosh.
And he probably had mashed potatoes too with that.
Oh, it got 10-pound sack of potatoes and 2-pound loaf of bread. Some of these guys were not eating for a while or a long trip. They could really stack it away.
Yeah.
Well, when we first started going out to Comparic out there, we would go in there, try not to look like truckers. We'd try to straighten up, take the work coats off as much as we could, and go sit down and try to maybe get a meal. And we'd pack 100-pound lunch when we leave there and fill our pockets and our pants and our,
Well, like 2 bags. I use 2 bags,
yeah, and some guys went overboard, but
but not Shaun.
Yeah, and then we'd go in there and maybe hit the can and take a quick shower, during crew change, and sometimes it was pretty busy. And Billy Zolman was there one time, and he was in the can a couple rows over, and I think I kind of brushed my teeth and got cleaned up there, and I went to use the restroom there, and I got in there, and he didn't know it was me, and I started making these, just these terrible sounds. And about 2 stalls over, I could hear Billy start giggling, but I was just making believe them sounds,
Yeah.
That was pretty funny, like I could disguise my voice when I was trying to chase him when I was tail heavy that night, Billy was a lot of fun to be around, unless you had work to do. And or get out in the middle of the winter, Joe, and he had no boots or clothes or gloves or hardly any, things. It's always not prepared for blizzards,
Wow. Well, you want to go ahead and shut her down for today? We'll come back. We're going to be here for a few more days, but we'll just call this one good. We got a rehearsal to go to.
Yeah. 4. Yeah, we'll probably leave about 4:30.
Okay.
So.
Well, Neen, thanks for coming on and sharing that story about Terry and your experience up there. And
Certainly.
And Dad, thanks for.
I guess I do have one thing to add.
Good.
When it was 1982, and of course there wasn't very good communication between the camp and Fairbanks, and I found out I was pregnant, and I needed some way to tell Terry that I was pregnant and that he was having a son. So I bought a little pair of blue corduroy booties that he actually hung around his mirror for ages. And I sent them up the haul road with, actually, Lisa was doing a pilot truck.
Yep.
So it was Shaun, probably, and John.
Yeah.
Yep. And
And
it was me, Walt, John, and Lisa.
That'd be my mom.
Yeah.
Lisa File.
Yep.
So, Lisa Ferguson.
Oh, Lisa Ferguson File.
So did they run them from Colt? I know the loads went to Colt, but did they take them to Chandler?
They took him to Chandler, and
yeah, I took when I took the shoes up there in my pilot pickup, and when they were unloading that tank at Coldfoot, I said, "Hey, I'm going to run up and bring these to Terry, and by the time we get all this tank and stuff, we'll head back." So I headed north in that pickup, and Terry was actually he was south of the shelf working around Dietrich area, and so I pulled over there next to him and got out and brought him the little blue shoes, and it's just, somebody said that he went. Did you say he went back to the camp that day? He was so happy.
He quit early so he could go back and have a
quit early. Yeah.
Wait, so did he know? He didn't know you were pregnant.
He didn't know.
But you knew it was a boy, or what?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so, I sent him the little blue shoes.
Oh, wow.
So he could know that I was pregnant, and we were
That's
having
how
a boy.
cool that was for me to be the messenger.
And you didn't just throw them out the windows like
when I drove by,
Yeah, okay, you stopped. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was, that was just all kinds of everybody's lives intertwingling, winding together on the haul road. That, my brother-in-law was there, my sister got to be up there, and Tulik and Atigun, and
And you met your wife through my dad.
I met Lisa. Was there, and Joe was there, and that's where I met Don, and now 43 years later, we had on 18 grandchildren and all these boys and kids, and so.
And I know a lot of stories about before they got married, so that.
Yeah.
Oh, you're going to be here for a while, so we can talk more later about that. So, well, Shaun, thanks for coming down, or thanks for having us here at your place. We flew down.
It's a pleasure.
In Oklahoma, where it's flooding out there right now.
I've got a whole list of little stories that are spin-offs from my brother Mark going up. And one more last thing, but when I took Mark to Prudhoe with me, I loved to play that Eric Clapton, Living on Tulsa Time, and I played that 1,000 times. I would just that little cassette, I don't remember how I did it, and so I played that so many times, and then I remember on the Elliott coming back, and it was like a 4-day trip for that, because we flew to Barrow, and it was just forever. The road was so rough. But by the time I got down on the Elliott, I played that again, and Mark was like, no. So every time, a lot of these years when Mark has a birthday, I always tell him I'm living on Tulsa time, Happy birthday, Mark, Yeah.
And he's always reminded of that story, huh?
Yeah, and Tulsa time for him. All right, signing out, Joe.
Yep.
All right.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Have a great day.
If you use ether on Norton, I'll kill you. Now, that's a job interview. I mean, that's a safety meeting right there.